I made a lot of mistakes in my first few years in the gym, and now looking back retrospectively with age and infinite amounts of wisdom on my side, I realised that some of those mistakes actually stopped me from making as much progress as I could have. And so, in an effort to save you from the pitiless, tragic years of no gains that I had, I've outlined in this video 3 of the biggest and most common mistakes so that you don't have to make them. Mistake number 1, completely winging it in the gym. I remember when I first started lifting, I used to waltz into the gym and just completely make a workout up on the spot. I'd start with a bit of bicep curl, next thing you know I'm on a leg press, then I'm doing overhead press, finishing off with a tricep extension and some sort of bizarre super step. And I think that approach to training can be fairly safely categorized as not that optimal. And I do understand, particularly when you first start going to the gym, you probably have no idea what most of the machines even do. Never mind what exercises target what muscles or how you should put a properly structured program together or any of that stuff. The problem with that is one of the main drivers of muscle growth is progressive overload. Progressive overload in really simple terms is simply getting better or stronger in certain exercises over time. So you can see how that's not quite conducive with making up your workouts on the spot. Ideally, you want to be picking certain exercises that you're going to do for a long period of time and trying to get stronger at those exercises over that long period of time. And because I'm clearly an absolute saint, for anyone that has no idea how to put a proper training program together, you'll see on the screen that I've put together a completely free workout plan that you can take and just start implementing straight away. That should give you a pretty good starting point. And to briefly explain, this is based on training 4 days per week, so you'll be training each muscle group twice per week in an upper, lower split. Working your rest days, they're equally as important as your training days, but which days you do which workout on is of course completely up to you. And just as a quick side note, if you find that useful, I've got a video in the archives due to go live at any moment, walking through that entire workout plan and explaining each day and each exercise step by step. So make sure you're subscribed if that's something that you're interested in. Into mistake number 2 then, thinking that soreness is an indication of muscle growth and a good workout. Again, when I first started going to the gym, I felt like I needed to go in there and completely write myself off. And if I didn't feel like I'd been 10 rounds with Tyson Fury and flattened by a train on the way home, then I wasn't getting any growth and my muscles weren't going to get any bigger. But what you need to remember, and the key takeaway for this segment, is that muscle soreness is the effect of novel stimulus and not necessarily effective stimulus. Let's take a really oversimplified example. Let's say that I only ever do a dumbbell bicep curl in my current program, and then after 6 months I decide to switch it up and I start doing a cable bicep curl. My biceps are going to be much sorer after the cable bicep curl than they were after 6 months of the dumbbell bicep curl. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I've built more muscle as a result of doing the cable bicep curl. It just means that the cable bicep curl is a new stimulus on the muscle, and therefore I'm going to feel a little bit more sore until my body gets used to that new stimulus. Now, I also think it's worth bearing in mind that soreness isn't a terrible thing, and particularly for beginners, it can be a good indication of what muscle you're actually training. Let's say, for example, you're trying to train your chest with a particular exercise, but actually it's your shoulders that are feeling the most sore. Well, that's probably a pretty good indication that either 1, the exercise that you're doing doesn't train the muscle group that you're trying to target, or 2, your form is a little bit out. So there is some benefits to muscle soreness, but just remember that it's not necessary to build muscle and it's not necessary to have a good workout. Mistake number 3 is doing front raises. Now, it's not that there's anything particularly wrong with the front raise as an exercise. It's actually a very good exercise at targeting the front delt. But the biggest problem is it's likely a bit of a wasted exercise, because for the vast majority of people, if you have a well-balanced training program already, your front delts will be getting sufficient stimulus from all of your push exercises. So every time that you do any kind of bench press, whether that's an incline, decline, flat press, machine press, any kind of overhead press or other type of machine shoulder press, all of those exercises already target your front delt in some way, particularly in a way that offers sufficient stimulus for growth without needing to target the front delt separately. You're actually better off doing exercises that will target both the side delts and the rear delts. So exercises that you might want to include are cable lateral raise for the side delt, and for the rear delt, any exercise where you're pulling and your arms are at a 45-degree angle, you're going to get a good amount of rear delt stimulus. And that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you've learned something there, and hopefully you can take some lessons away that'll stop you from making the same mistakes that I did, and maybe, unlike me, you'll actually get some gains in your first few years of lifting. If you learned something, do subscribe, like the video, socials are on the screen or in the description, not really sure. Go follow me, do whatever you want, and I'll see you in the next one.